Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be showing you the making of this goat's milk oats and honey soap. It is my favorite soap of all. So trust me guys, you're going to see me make this soap in many different forms. Now when I was making this soap, there was something I did that was a huge blunder to me, and I'm going to let you guys know what it is. So make sure you stick around and watch this video thoroughly so that you will see where I made that blunder that, trust me, you shouldn't make. Anyway, so now I am measuring out some citric acid into some distilled water, and then I just decided to start that off so that I could do some of the additives parts before I go on to do the real thing, because these additives, they're very easy to forget. So now I'm dissolving my citric acid in some water. Then I will move ahead to the next stage, and that is I'm going to be adding some honey. And now you would see here that my honey has crystallized. So the older honey gets, the more it crystallizes. I do not think honey expires. But anyway, this is not too old anyway. It's just crystallized just because it's the bottom of the container, and so I just threw it away after this. But what I realized with the crystallization was that it wasn't melting properly, and so I had little crystals in there. So in the end, I do not know if that affected the overall outcome of the soup, but I really do doubt it. So let's put that aside now and measure out our hard oils. And as usual, we're doing some cocoa butter, some shea butter, and then some lard. And if you're here for the first time, welcome. I really do hope you subscribe on my channel. I show you my soap making as is, even when I make mistakes, guys. I do not edit. My soap making is not always perfect. It is my reality. So please stick around and stay with me and enjoy all of the content that I have to show you. You will learn with me, you will learn from me. So yes, that's what we show. So now I am still measuring out my shea butter, like I said, and then now this is the lard. Lard makes your soap so creamy and so lovely, and I just really like it in soap, and so I always use it in my soaps. And so I melt that down completely, and then now I proceed to measuring out my coconut oil to melt that in my hot hard oils. And here's where I made that mistake. Did you see how I just teared with my spatula in? I normally do this, and it's funny because one of my subscribers actually commented about the fact that I measure with my spatula in. But then see what happened here. I took it out. Like, I'm always so conscious of this. I think my mind had thought I was going to be measuring my liquid oils. I didn't think about it, and I took it out, and I did not tear again. So I altered my measurements here and didn't know, and I just started putting in my coconut oil. And you would see where I started to put my spatula in. See that I put it in and brought it out, because I was looking at it and thinking, oh my goodness, did I forget something? So guys, you know what I had to do here? I had to stop this video. That's why I stopped and melted it completely there. I had to stop the video, go off, and actually watch the video I had recorded to see if I teared again, and I saw that I didn't. So I stopped measuring and I went slightly over with my coconut oil, and I just still wasn't sure, and I was just confused thinking. So now I'm measuring out my liquid oils, by the way. But anyway, yeah, so I just wasn't sure, thinking, did I make a mistake with that coconut oil? How's it gonna go? Am I gonna be lye heavy? I just had no clue. Am I gonna have too much super fat? Is the soap going to just be too soft? So I just kept my fingers crossed all through. Anyway, so now I'm just pouring in some colloidal oat, and then I'm also pouring in some oat that I kind of grinded and sieved out by myself to just make it a smoother powder, but it's not as smooth as colloidal oats. So what it does is it gives that soap some exfoliating thing to it, and that's what I just really love about my goat milk oats and honey soap. So it has colloidal oat that really does seep into your skin and give it nourishment, but it also has the oat that also gives it some exfoliating effect. So now this is the fun part of goat milk soap making. If you're learning goat milk soap making, hey, watch this video. It's just lovely. So now what I do is I measured out my frozen goat milk oil, and then I'm measuring out my lye in a goat milk, my frozen goat milk, not goat milk oil. What is goat milk oil, guys? Anyways, I'm measuring out my lye. And so then you start to pour it in slowly. So my goal for this was to keep my goat milk as creamy and I didn't want it to scorch at all. So I didn't even want it to turn yellow. I just wanted it to look as creamy as possible. So it was at this point I thought, you know what, let me put this in an ice bath to actually keep the temperature as cool as possible. And so I did quite a lot of temperature checks in this soap making, and you're gonna see it because I just really really wanted to keep my temperatures as cool as possible, and you'll see how everything did play out. So now I'm pouring in the lye very, very slowly into the goat milk. All right, so this is where I decided to put an ice bath, around my goat milk. And then, yeah, the rest goes on. So you're pouring your lye really, really, really slowly and just stir that and, just be patient with it. And at some point, when all of the goat milk melts, the trick to actually keeping, stopping it from getting, because at some point it does get yellow for almost everybody. But if you really do not want it to get yellow, the trick is keep that ice bath cold. So if the ice melts, probably just put some more ice. And then once all of your goat milk is melted and you still have some lye left, now you start waiting for some time before you add more lye. So you check your temperature, make sure it gets cooler before you then add a little bit more lye. Stir that, wait again. I mean, it's a long process, but it's what you do if you really don't want that scorching, because scorching does sometimes affect some of the nutrients that you're trying to get from that goat milk. And what's the point of making goat milk soap if you're going to be losing all your nutrients to scorching, right? Right. So I'll let you guys watch the rest of this part, and then I'll get back to you guys in a bit. And you can see that at this point, my goat's milk is completely melted. I still have a little bit of lye left, and I'm just constantly checking the temperature. Here it's 91 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm just going to wait a little bit for it to cool down before I add more lye. That's just kind of how I was doing to keep the mixture as creamy as I really did not even want it to turn yellow. It did turn slightly yellow, but compared to how much it can get yellow, you see it went down to 88 now before I poured in the rest of my lye. So compared to how yellow it can get for most soap makers who do make goat milk soap, this didn't turn yellow at all because you know I really did take my time with it, and that's just the secret. If you want your goat milk to not scorch, you have to be extremely patient. You have to be cautious of temperature, and you just have to be, really meticulous with everything. So now I'm just adding in my citric acid and honey, and then I'm pouring in some sodium lactate. This is a completely optional additive. Citric acid is also an optional additive. So and then I'm checking the temperature of my oils, and here you can see it's 89 degrees. So it's very very good. It's a good nice low temperature for soaping, and my goat milk is 83 degrees, which is just perfect. And so I just poured that in. I didn't bother sieving it as I would normally do because I just thought don't think there's any point. And then we blend away. And as I blended, it started to turn a little brown on me. Like the color started changing. And I was just thinking, I mean, this is what is expected, especially when there's honey in your soap. But then I actually wished that I blended a little bit more. But for some reason, I felt like blending it will make it get extra hot. I don't know what I was being cautious about. But anyways, I had to wait for some time before I could texturize this. It doesn't show in the video because obviously I paused it and then came back to continue recording. But I did wait for some time before I was able to texture this because it was just so fluid when I poured it into my mold. So here is my texturing, and as usual, when I texture, I can never make my mind up at once. And so, yeah, texture galore here. And I eventually made up my mind with my texture, and I really did love this texture in the end because it just created a nice little wave on top of the soap. Just a beautiful texture. Garnish with some oats on top just to make it look beautiful. And there is our soap done. Yay! And so the next day here, I am unmolding and my fingers are crossed because remember, guys, I wasn't sure if I had put in too much oil or if I had put in too little oil. Lessons for you guys: do not measure with your spatula. I know I'm still gonna measure with my spatula in. Yeah, I'm still, because I have a coconut head, so I'm still going to measure with my spatula in. If I will just try to be more cautious of it because that was really scary. Anyway, I was a little scared that this soap would probably be light heavy because, to be honest, super fat is not really a big deal. And see here, I started to notice these things. It just looked like a weird texture inside. So I just wasn't sure if it was the honey crystals that caused that or if my soap was light heavy. And so as soon as I unmolded the soap, I did check the pH of my soap and it was a bit high. So I was so scared and I said to myself, oh my goodness, this is a failure. Oh my goodness, I'm just gonna have to shred this soap and I'm gonna put it in a crock pot, which I do not have. So it's just a normal regular pot, and I'm going to have to rebatch my beautiful Goatmilk Oat and Honey soap. I was just so pissed off. But then I left it for a few hours, came back to recheck the pH again, and voila, it was perfect. And I checked the pH about 10 more times and it was perfect. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is a miracle. It is a miracle. My Goatmilk Oat and Honey soap is saved. And so then I went on to bevel because I wasn't going to bevel it if it was, if it was damaged. I was just going to shred it. So now I decided to come and bevel, and yeah, I was just so happy that it turned out all right. So maybe that texture on top, it was probably the oats that I added, because in the end that was about 4 teaspoons of oats overall, and I usually try to keep my oats at 1%, and that made my oat 2% in this soap. But it was either the oats or the crystallized honey or something else. I don't know what it is, or maybe there was just a high superfat. I don't even know what it. I don't know. You guys, please leave a comment below and let me know why you think my soap had that weird texture when I first cut it, and let me know if you think it was probably light heavy and then something, it just got sipped back in. I don't know. Guys, please leave a comment. Teach me. I don't know. Tell me what happened there because that looks strange to me. But in the end, the soap did turn out right. Of course, I'm going to be testing one of the soaps by myself on myself to just make sure that everything with the soap is perfect before I do put it out for sale. But for now, the pH does look perfect to me. I have checked it a zillion times, trust me. And it does look perfect. So it's just for me to test it on myself. So now it's just the stamping and the finishing of the soap. And yeah, guys, so thank you guys for watching this video to this point, and I really do hope you subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed it, and see you guys in my next video. Have a great day. Bye.